Hello and welcome everybody to the Ballers Across the Pond. Peter and Will, as always, are in the house. How are you boys doing? The divisional round is now up, and we've got championship week and ahead of us.
Yeah, no, I mean it's exciting. We've kind of got the best teams in the league left. I mean, a lot of the results we saw coming, there were a few that were really close, which was really interesting to see. But I think there's also the head coach carousel that's happened. There's been like a lot of new hires as well, and it's going to change the landscape of the NFL going forward. It's an exciting time to be a fan. No, can't wait to sort of get into it.
Yeah, interesting divisional wild card round. It leaves a question for one particular QB, which is still yet to be answered, but very interesting.
I'm sure you will pose that question. Yeah, we're wondering who that question is. I think he's talking about Brock Purdy, but
we'll find out when we get to it.
And we'll find out when we review that game. But before we get into any of that, we've got to talk about all these coaching changes or coaching hires within the league. So starting off with the big bombshell, Coach Harbaugh leaving Michigan and going to the LA Chargers to take over that franchise. And can he do it? Can he make that team even close to challenging my homeboys?
Absolutely. He not only can he do it, but he's going to do it in a hurry. I think they're probably going to be a wild card team next year.
Is this your early take? This is your early take without even seeing what the roster changes are going to be.
Proven record. I think a lot of the guys there might be willing to take less to stay because they know, hey, this is a good situation. They've got a lot of pieces defensively. The makeup of that team is going to change. They're going to be a run-first team. They're going to be a downhill team, stout defense. They're going to run the ball, heavy play action, and they've got a QB that can take over a game, make all the throws needed. That's athletic and strong. It's literally a match made in heaven. Like, I think this is going to be a fast turnaround, and they're going to be a wild card team, a lot like the Houston Texans. He's just very good, and it's a proven track record. Like Harbaugh, not only has he done it at the college level with Stanford and Michigan, but he's won early in San Francisco. It took him 3 years to get to the Super Bowl, and he made the playoffs. I think it was divisional championship 2 years back to back, I believe. This was in his first 3 seasons there. So he's very good at turning around a team because he just understands football. And he moved on from Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick. Obviously now he's got Justin Herbert already in place. It's going to be amazing to watch. I think everyone, if you're in Chicago right now, you're excited because not only are you relevant, but you're going to compete. It's going to be a really interesting season. I think, like I said, if you're a Chicago fan, Chargers fan, you are absolutely ecstatic. This is going to be one of those hires that's going to like transform your team instantly.
So if we 100%. Look at the Harbaugh era, there were 4 years in total. Year one, lost the conference championship.
Yep, first year.
Year 2, lost the Super Bowl. Year 3, lost the conference championship.
Yep, that doesn't just happen. And he wins without dependency on the QB. So don't get me wrong, he wants someone that can look after the ball, can move around in the pocket, but he can win without one. So it's really interesting. Like I said, he's got a QB that can take over a game. So like I said, if you're the Chargers, I mean, you're going to be a dangerous team in the next 2 years, even if not the first year, because that offense is going to completely change.
It needs to, because they're spluttering as a team.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be able to they have pieces, but they don't seem to be able to piece it together.
Yep. But they've got guys, and they've got defensive playmakers as well, which is like his style. Even though he's an offensive coach, he likes stout defense. He's going to run the ball, 2 tight hand sets. He's going to bring in a fullback. That's his style. So I can't wait to see it happen. I think he was the number one coach heading into this offseason that every team that was looking for a coach wanted. But yeah, no, I think he chose the right one. So congratulations to the Chargers, man. Oh, and by the way, back when he was with the 49ers, who was the GM? Trent Baalke. This is why, like, when I saw the Jacksonville Jaguars hire Trent Baalke as their GM, I was laughing at them because I know that team is not going anywhere. Dude was out. No, because the ownership, Trent Baalke was already running the 49ers into the ground, and it was part of the reason why Jim Harbaugh left. Like, he was a championship coach.
Okay,
the owner chose the GM. The owner chose the GM.
All right.
The GM was left, and we saw what happened to that team. It completely caved in. So now he's been given another chance. 8 years later,
who was the GM when they went to 3 NFC Championship games?
It was Trent Baalke.
Who got all them players that got them to 3 straight NFC Championship games?
I mean, it's like it's hand in hand, you know. But
ultimately,
head coach is going to be like, I want that player on my team.
Peter, wait. Okay, I'm gonna put it this way, right? When you run an ABA test, right? We're getting scientific here. You change one variable. They've taken the coach out of it, and the team fell apart. The variable that stayed was Baalke, right?
Baalke, yeah.
They've changed that variable.
And I like the 49ers.
And it fell apart.
I used to like them a lot. I liked how they played.
Listen,
so I'm not a fan of Trent Baalke. So him getting a GM job.
I get where you're coming from. Like, hold on. Yes, Trent Baalke might have a very excuse my language, very SHIC personality and tough to deal with, right? But he knows how to spot talent. He knows how to build teams. Okay, he's only been at Jacksonville for 1 year, so you gotta understand that. So that place, he is trying to build talent in Jacksonville. Okay, when he got to Jacksonville, they had a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. He selected the right coach, got Jacksonville back on track a little bit. Because if he wasn't there, who knows what Trevor Lawrence? It could have been even worse. Okay, so he rescued a bad situation. I'm not saying he's the always yes, but what I'm saying is let's try and be fair in this. Because a lot of people like to put all the credit on Harbaugh. The first time Harbaugh came to the NFL, he was a college coach coming into the NFL. So you go understand a lot of the players, a lot of the responsibilities fell on Trent Baalke to get those players in the initial stages. But I give huge credit to Harbaugh. Harbaugh can coach. I have no questions.
Because wherever Harbaugh goes, he seems to
he wins because he's a winning coach. I'm not saying that he's not successful. All I'm saying is, like, let's be fair to Trent Baalke in this. I'm not the biggest Baalke fan. I'm just trying to look out for the guy. But let's be fair. Let's be fair with the guy, right?
All right.
But the thing is, I know Harbaugh is going to be a huge success with the Chargers because Harbaugh is going to be good. But one caution that I'll throw out there is that
are the Chargers going to charge it? Can he overturn the Chargers charging?
If there's one man that can do it, that'll be Jim.
Yeah, Harbaugh. No, but don't forget, Chargers charging is an almost unstoppable force.
They haven't met Jim Harbaugh.
It becomes irrelevant because he removes.
That's why I said you haven't met Jim Harbaugh.
He has to take. You know, like
Michigan.
He has to overturn. He has to completely overturn the jinxy ethos of that team of the last 25 years.
But that's why I said Michigan used to do it 25 years ago before Harbaugh got there.
Michigan were irrelevant for a decade.
They will have a lot of talent, but they never got anywhere until Harbaugh showed up. So Harbaugh kind of like can reverse that thing.
He's been doing it all his career.
Harbaugh needs to understand, in crafting the offense, yes, it's going to be a run offense, play tough defense. But at the same time, you have a quarterback with elite skill set. Make sure Herbert can do it when the moment requires him to do it. And I'm sure Harbaugh can get that out of him. That's all I'm saying. Like, don't be so focused on what got you the success the first time. And I'm sure he's innovative. He knows the trend. So I don't think he'll be so running on just being, because we know that in this modern NFL, you can't just be a run first offense. There has to be a complementary pass game to balance it. If you just run only, you're not going to be successful for a long time. You're going to be successful for a while, and then that's it. Because when the Chargers were a run first offense under Vrabel, they made sure that Tannehill was playing complementary passing game because he had like 30 touchdowns in that season,
right, so
even though they were running the football.
Just to briefly look at, so there's a potential they lose Austin Eckler at the end of the season.
That's fine. He'll find a running back.
He'll find a running back.
Anyway, I should defer this to Will.
Derrick Henry.
But both
we have the running back disrespecter here, so it's fine.
If you look at it, so they've got a lot of money tied up. Like, if you look at
their cap situation to remedy, though.
Their cap situation's not great. It's about 40-50 million over the cap. And you've got...
Hey, they need a cap wizard here.
And you've got Mac. Yeah, you've got Mac with 38 million against the cap. Bosa, 36 million against the cap. Keenan Allen, 34 million against the cap. Mike Williams, 32 million against the cap.
Harbaugh. Who
was their GM?
What? Oh no, the GM. I mean, the whole slate's cleared.
Was it Tom Telesco?
No, the whole slate's cleared. So Harbaugh's going to pick the GM. I'm just scared he's going to try and get Howie. I don't think Howie's going to go. Yeah.
No, I mean, who used to be the Chargers GM?
Telesco, whatever. Is his last name Tom?
Is it Tom Telesco?
Tom Telesco. Yeah, it was. He's
gone.
My
God. Nah.
He's gone already.
He went to the Raiders.
He went to the Raiders, but what I'm saying is that he basically fucked up their cap and left. Basically, for someone else to come and clean up. They need someone that's gonna whoever will be the GM. This first offseason, they're just drafting. They're not signing any free agents. It's just take a loss and clear the cap room.
So they need to hit. So they need like a draft wizard because they need to hit on that.
All right. Let's move on. We've got quite a few more head coach hires to go through. Panthers have selected the Bucs offensive coordinator as the head coach, and that is Dave Canales. So he is the seventh? They're saying he's the seventh head coach in franchise history. Obviously, it's not a very long-standing franchise, but thoughts on this one because he's got his work cut out.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an uphill struggle. I think we went over this in the pre-show. He's getting this job because of what he did with Geno Smith in his resurgent year and what he's done with Baker Mayfield as far as rehabilitating him as a playoff caliber starting quarterback. So I think that's the main reason he's there. Plus, I don't think there were a lot of people that were openly going for this job, and I think Tepper knows that. He's not going to be as expensive, so he's fairly cheap. He's not going to cost as much.
So, Will, just on that comment, is this what happens when you have a when you have an owner who acts so brazen and so outlandish that head coaches avoid it because it's volatile? Head coaches want a modicum of stability, specifically at the top level.
And it's unfair for the whole staff. It's not just the head coach, because just think, you move across the country. Let's say you move from one coast to the other for a job. You bring other coaches with you, so they relocate their whole family, wife, children. You get one season there, and then everything gets wiped off. No one wants to be in that situation. Frank Reich is highly respected. No doubt everyone that went for this role probably gave Frank Reich, hey, can I give you a call? And they had a chat and they said, how was it over there? Is it worth it? What seems to be the issue? And it wasn't just Frank Reich. It was Josh McCown, who's highly respected. he also got. I mean, it was the potential for development was there. Tepper just wasn't patient, and the last thing you want is an impulsive owner, because that's a really good way to get to like alienate your whole family, because you've got to move from one area to the other and word spread. So I don't think Tepper kind of had a choice. I don't think there were a lot of people knocking on his door, and it's self-inflicted. So
also,
I don't really
with the
feel
team just been continually poor, doesn't effectively the moment that CMC left the building, they haven't really had an offense.
Yeah, it can get turned around. You know, we've seen what's happened in Houston. All you need really is the QB and the coach. I do believe they have the quarterback, but I mean, the jury's still out.
There needs to be a scheme for him to work.
Coach. Exactly, and they can hopefully turn this around fairly fast. But if this doesn't work, and we'll find out, like if they say they haven't won a game by week 6, week 7, like nothing, and they've looked pretty much the same, it's going to be like a long. I mean, if Tepper gets rid of him, then this franchise, no one's going there. You might as well keep him on, because there's going to be no one interviewing for that job anyway. So I think Tepper's kind of at least tied in for 2 seasons, whether he likes it or not, regardless of what happens.
All right, moving to another NFC South team, Falcons have hired Raheem Morris as the head coach. And what this means, the only team in the league to have interviewed Bill Belichick is not going for him. So that, I think, closes kind of the Belichick chapter on this season. The season upcoming after this one. So thoughts on Raheem Morris, because I think he's deserved this. He's put the work in to be able to get his chance, and now it's for him to make the most of it, especially with a team that has the potential to become good.
Yes, I mean, for me, there's nobody in this head coaching cycle that deserves a head coach job more than Raheem Morris. When I first started following American football, he was one of the coaches that I saw with the Buccaneers a couple of seasons ago. He wasn't a good head coach then, because he was very young, and he hadn't really understood the role, and he got a QB wrong at the time. But now he's done his dues, worked in various roles, went back to being a DB coach, assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, and the last 2 or 3 years as a DC for the Rams have done wonders, especially this past season. We all thought the Rams were not going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and them making the playoffs was a big part to their defense. All these 3rd round, 4th round guys that they drafted, because the Rams didn't have a lot of 1st round picks, and he turned them into good competitive football players and held a very good defense. So for me, he more than thoroughly deserved this opportunity. The key for him being successful with the Falcons here is getting the right quarterback, because the Falcons have all the pieces in place, especially on the offensive side of the ball, they're quarterback away, and on the defensive side, they have pieces. I think going into the offseason or the draft, defense will be their focus in terms of adding key pieces. And on offense, they just need to get a quarterback, because the O-line is there, the weapons are there. They need a quarterback and a good coordinator to call plays too.
I think the quarterback is the next step for them.
I agree. That's what I said. The quarterback, they need a quarterback ASAP. And when I mean ASAP is, I don't know if they go into the draft. I mean, hey, there's a pick on number 4. Imaz Radimov is off the table. We have a nice pick for you. Can come up to 4. Be your quarterback. I'm just saying.
It's going to be tempting. They're going to have to. They can't continue on with the situation that they've currently got. All right. Moving on. Raiders confirmed that Antonio Pierce is the head coach, and they're not making the Rich Bisaccia mistake again, and that's the way I see it. If the players in a locker room respect a guy enough, and he's earned his stripes to get that chance, you give it to him. That team played hard for him, and now it's sink or swim for him, and that's all I see. He'll be on a shorter leash.
Yeah, he will be, but I think this is a situation whereby, as an owner, you can't risk the mutiny, because if they didn't give it to him, several of your players are not going to turn up.
When I say shorter, he'll get next season, and if they don't... The thing is now, you look at the Raiders, right? You have the Chiefs in your division with what one player said, he's already a Hall of Famer.
Who's already a Hall of Famer?
I saw this. He's already. Say for example, if Mahomes were to retire at the end of the season, who said this? Lamar said it, right? Yeah, Lamar said it, right? If
he definitely is.
You look at it like from a statistical point of view. If he were to retire at the end of the season, he would make the Hall of Fame, first ballot. So you got a future Hall of Famer. And then you have Harbaugh with a dynamic quarterback. And then you have the Broncos. You got two teams, and then don't forget.
They'll get better.
They will get better, but it's whether they can get good enough to be able to compete. Don't forget, this division can eat you alive, especially with the juggernauts in it. Especially as the Chargers were supposed to be a juggernaut, and they would just tend to be a jug. Literally, just that was about it. But moving on, Titans. Brian Callahan named as the head coach. There's a lot of change going to be, with Derrick Henry most likely to leave. That whole style of that the offense there will have to change, and they've got some holes to fill, I think, particularly.
I agree, but it's like, where do you start? You need an identity, and I think that they're sort of going with the offensive side of the ball, but they do need a balance. The thing is, can he sort of bring that? Like, we know his offensive acronym is there, but he needs to hire a really good defensive coordinator on his staff if he's looking to sort of compete in that division. And that remains to be seen, right?
And the thing is that it's in a division which is much maligned, but you look at Texans, right? On the up and up. Massively on the up and up. The Jags had injury issues with Trevor. And that completely derailed their season. He was playing extremely hurt towards the end, and you could see it. And Colts didn't have Anthony Richardson for the majority of the season. So you've got three teams on a different trajectory to the Titans. Titans will need to be able to get going quickly, otherwise they will be left behind.
That is true.
So
that is very true. Do you think this appointment was made with perhaps seeing if he could develop Will Levis, who kind of made a splash when he was the QB?
So he said he's looking forward to working with him. So I assume he's going to be carrying on as a starter. And the thing is, I don't think Will Levis has shown any other reason not to be the starter. So the thing is, you can't be. There are other things to focus on. That's not the problem. The quarterback play is not the problem at the moment. It's the entire package, and also the ethos of the way the offense plays. Because obviously, Derrick Henry's not going to be there. He wants the offense, so they've got to completely change their style. But we'll park the full conversation on the Titans until the off season, when we'll look at them in a little bit more depth. All right, that is the head coaching hires completed. Now the coordinator hires. Well, Vic Fangio,
yes,
has become the Eagles' defensive coordinator. And will this solve all your issues, or it's just another piece to be able to solve it, because I think there's more to it than just hiring him.
It's I think it's going to be good for Sirianni to have kind of like that experience. Vic Fangio has been a coach in this league. Granted, he's been a successful coach as well as far as defense is concerned. So it's going to be really good for him to have that kind of mentorship there, and have someone he can sort of listen to in his ear. But also at the same time, like Vic always wanted to coach this team defensively because he sees the potential that's there. You know, we've got potentially like 2 double teams as interior tackles, which is crazy to think about, both Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter coming through. And I think that's attractive. And you look at everyone else, you've got Josh Sweat as well. I want to see what he's going to do with the linebackers.
Pause 1 second. Are you sure it's not because he's from Philly and he's retiring? Muhammad's in Philly, and some people say he's coming to retire.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine because he has the pedigree. He's always been like pigeoned as like his, like even in Miami, the word around the tree was that a lot of players didn't like his scheme and they struggled with his scheme because it's very
complicated. It wasn't his scheme.
It's very old school.
No, it wasn't the scheme. It was the way he spoke, the way he coached them. The players went with it.
It's a very old school way to coach, man. I think it's a very old school way, but the whole point is I think
Philly's a little bit more hard-nosed if you think about how...
I try to say Miami defensive players or so?
No, I'm talking about
team, man.
I'm talking about city culture.
Yeah, Miami's like a finesse city coach, fan base, everything.
Philly is known as grit, right?
Yeah, similar to Detroit, blue collar.
Right? It's pure grit. They're the most hated fan base in the league.
Absolutely.
It's not that bad. It's not as bad. I mean, Dallas is...
No, I'm talking about Philly fans across the board.
Yep.
In all of their sports are the most hated.
Okay, fine. Yeah, across all their sports, yeah.
And it's their own fault. They caused that.
They are gritty to everyone else that isn't a Philadelphia fan. But we're not here to talk about Philadelphia as a city. We're here to talk about Vic Fangio, and I think they need to sort out the secondary. They need to sort out the linebacking core, because as good a defensive front as you have.
Yep.
We saw the frailties when the rest of it didn't work in tandem with the front.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping the linebacker core in particular, I think he'll try and buffer that with what he already has. You know, we have Nolan Smith as well from Georgia. He didn't really play a lot, you know, but that's kind of like the old... Here's the thing I've realized about certain DCs, even though they have talented young players, will stick with like the older vets that aren't necessarily as good in terms of raw talent and potential, because they need people that can run that scheme, you know. But it's also a DC's job to make sure he can teach that scheme properly and get these young players ready to play. So I'm hoping he's able to take advantage of that. I think the secondary as well, I think he'll try and get our defense to play more as a unit rather than just being a front-heavy defense, in that we rely too much on the defensive front. I think he's going to try and get a balance across the board. Either way, I'm excited because I know that side of the ball will be taken care of. You've got a former head coach in Vic Fangio. I think he was with Denver.
Terrible head coach.
And they had a mean defense. You can't fault them there. He took care of his side of the ball. And I think that's going to ease a few things for Sirianni, which means when
you're head coach, your side of the ball is all sides of the ball. So, but all right, I'm going to move us on.
Yep.
Bengals promoting Dan Pitcher, who was their quarterback coach, to OC, because obviously Brian Callahan left to take up the Titans position. That's a case of promoting from within and the guy knowing this is evolution, not revolution there, because they don't need to have a revolution in terms of they just had an injured quarterback. There's not much to read home about that, but final piece of news, and we're just going to mention the news, we're not going to actually discuss it. Patriots wide receiver Keyshawn Booth was arrested today, and the allegation is that he placed more than 8,900 bets whilst underage with a fake account. So there'll be more to that story once kind of like the chips fall, so to say. All right, there we have our news segment rounded off perfectly, and now we'll get on to the business of reviewing the divisional round. First game that we shall be talking about is obviously the wide right. That was the ending of the Bills and Chiefs, but Mr. Lone Wolf here was the only person that chose the Bills to lose this game, because I said that it didn't matter what Josh Allen would have done, they're still going to find a way to. They still wouldn't have won, and Mahomes will win this game. And this became reality. Now, the game was a really good game, but what we saw was in that drive, Josh Allen was methodical because they took their time. They bled so much time off the clock, right? That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to give Mahomes less of an opportunity to possess the ball. My big issue with Josh Allen in this circumstance was he had multiple opportunities of open receivers and he didn't take them.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, I'm gonna quote somebody here who I don't quote very often. I saw YouTube shorts of him.
And do you know who I'm talking? By the way, do you know who I'm talking about? Which receivers? Yeah. Diggs on the crossing route.
I know exactly.
You've got to take that because it's an easy. That's the first down.
I'm coming on to it. That. You guys are all leading up to the point I'm making here. I'm gonna make something that this person that I don't like to talk about, but I'm gonna be fair because he made a very good point, and that is the guy that everyone thinks is the greatest footballer of all time, who he isn't.
Tom Brady.
Anyway, I digress. I don't want to mention his name. He who shall not be named. Okay, He said Josh Allen is so stubborn, and actually. That is a very good point. I agree. He was so stubborn. He wanted to make a splash play to win the game. In playoff football, it's not about the splash play. When you're trying to get to the Super Bowl, it's about taking what the defense gives you. The Chiefs were not willing to let you go over the top with the blitzes that they were coming and the coverage on the back end, hoping that one of their playmakers in the front seven will make a play. So in that situation, you're not just playing to win the game. You're playing. In that situation, something that elite QBs in this game, Peyton and he who shall not be named, have talked about for years is you're playing against the clock, not against Mahomes in that moment. You're trying to bleed the clock, so you're marching down the field slowly. You don't do it in a hurry, and that's what Josh got to learn. Is that when you get in that situation, bleed the clock as much as you can. Keep picking up the first downs. If you pass it to Diggs, there's enough time to still keep playing the game to get to the end zone to score or stuff. So that was how the Bills lost the game, because Allen was trying to be a hero instead of playing to win the game.
And if you so I watched the New Heights podcast episode this week, obviously, because on the field there was a lot to talk about, and off the field there's a lot to talk about in terms of what happened in Buffalo, with a certain Jason Kelsey stealing the show with his antics in the crowd. But it's keeping it on the field. They were talking about how the wind was affecting the game, and at times the wind was calm, and then all of a sudden it would be blustery, gusts of wind. But there was also, with the way that the wind was, sometimes it was in your face and sometimes it was across the field, and it could have been a case where he was kicking the ball from and where the posts were, the wind was slightly different direction, because obviously it was swirling around, so therefore that's how it could have got pushed offline, because it looked like it was dead center, and then it just went whoosh straight across. It's as if somebody was just blowing from the side going, nope, Sorry, quite right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I think both of these QBs have the arm to sort of be able to push through that. You expect them to. That being said, I agree with what Pete said with the last point. I think Josh Allen tends to want to push the ball down maybe a bit further than it necessarily needs to go. Like I said, you've got to give what the defense will give you. And I think that's kind of like his MO. So even though it didn't help this game, it was still a close game. And it's not just that, like they have a kicker who's missed, I think, what was it, 40?
Like
it was 42 yards or something like that, I believe.
I think I saw someone tweet about it. I think I couldn't remember who it was, and he said, I think that's the first time I've ever seen Bass miss
it's crippling
defining catch because he doesn't do it.
Good,
generally, he doesn't do it. Good. Yeah,
it's going to come down to those types of moments and plays. It could have gone either way. Don't get me wrong. Stephon Diggs was like a no-show in this game. Damar Hamlin, oh wow, I didn't know he had one carry for 2 yards.
No. That one carry for 2 yards, fake punt.
Oh, okay.
It was a fake punt where they were 4th and 7 with 13 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
They were down 3 and they went for it in their own.
That's desperation, man. That's
fear
of Mahomes on the other side, man. They're terrified of him.
That's fear of Pat on the other side. That's not backing your defense to get it done. And guess what they did? They got it done because the Chiefs didn't score any points because Valdez-Scantling fumbled through the end zone because Travis Kelce missed his block.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't cost them any points, but you shouldn't be putting your defense in that position, especially with that much time on the clock left.
Yeah.
Bank your team. This like sixth, was it the sixth AFC Championship in a row now for my homeboys?
Yeah, I mean, the rate he keeps on going.
He's too short of Brady's record of 8 in a row.
Yeah, the like I said, the way he keeps on going, the more swings you take, the more chances you get. So it's only a matter of time.
I won't be surprised if he gets there. Now, what I won't be surprised if he beats it. Now, this shares the only chance that the streak could be broken because next year they're going wide receiver hunting and they're going to be reloaded with weapons. And when Mahomes has weapons, he's MVP status.
Yeah, he's very hard to beat because now he's kind of working together like a patchwork team. Nicole Hardiman's back. You've got what's his name?
Rashee Rice has made a big good. He's been good as a rookie wide receiver, and the thing is, people right, so Kelce was, like at the end of the season, his numbers were down. He didn't break 1,000 yards for the first time. He got hurt a couple of times. 2 touchdowns in this game. Still can't count him out. And now him and Mahomes hold the record for quarterback receiver combination for postseason touchdowns. They have surpassed Brady and Gronk.
That's good.
In less time.
Less time. And with a more competitive division.
And
he's gonna, like I said,
I like
gets this third one.
I can't remember. I think it was Brady tweeted that you've got to be doing something right when you break the record that nobody thought was going to be broken. Nobody thought that record because those two as a combination was almost unstoppable in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've done it quickly. Well, quickly. So those two must have been doing something right over these years, and props to them for doing that. It's another case of the Bills being the Bills, unfortunately, and they will have to reload and try and bring it next season. But the thing is, wide receiver core needs to improve. Obviously, The Dolphins in their division will also be reloading, so it's going to be interesting to see how the divisional makeup works out as well. Moving on to the second game that happened on which of the days? Saturday. So the second game on Saturday was San Francisco 49ers squeaking a win over the Packers. Now, the one I know, Peter, I think you're talking about Purdy and you're saying there's a question mark over him. Did you see the weather in this game? What's the one thing a quarterback hates?
Rain.
Pouring, torrential rain. It was like a bar of soap at times.
QBs hate wet footballs.
Yep, they can't grip it.
Like
the
you look at the quarterback rating for both teams: 72 for Jordan Love and 86 for Brock Purdy in torrential rain. But do you know what Brock Purdy managed to do in the torrential rain? He didn't turn over the ball.
That's always key when you play this game. We know turnovers is a crucial part of the game. And also, I think in the end we saw the difference between the two rosters. As in, like, the 49ers roster is like really elite all around, and the Lions have a very good team with the potential to get to with
you mean the
more
Packers,
pieces added. Yeah, the Packers. The Packers they have a very young team. So they're also still
young wide receivers, young tight end, young quarterback. So everything's new and they're going in the right direction. And the one thing the Packers know how to do is get to the right place as a franchise.
Exactly. Oh, and they know how to draft. A lot of times people think when they draft these players, people think they're so good at developing football players, the Green Bay Packers. It's like they're a prime model of a franchise that even if they change the head coach and the GM, there's like, I don't know if they have a manual of how they develop players, the ethos of being a Packer. Like, they're so good at developing these players that all of a sudden they could have 1 or 2 down seasons, and a down season for Green Bay is not like finishing 4-13, it's like 8-8 or 7-9. That's like a down season, but they bounce back so quickly, and their level of succession, I give all credit to how they replaced Favre with Rodgers with Love, and it's been a seamless transition. So all credit to them.
To be honest, Love looked all right in this game. He was dealing at times. He had 2 touchdowns. Now, if we
look, the kicker, though, I mean,
they've had.
The one thing I would say, though,
he's had some problems with missing this
season. The one
thing
I would say is, I hope LaFleur speaks to the kicker, because he said every time he comes out to kick, I say a prayer. Now, if I'm a kicker and I hear that,
now I think that was deliberately no. So the way that LaFleur said, he talked about that, in pre-production meetings, right? Kind of in jest, like any time a kick happens, particularly for a field goal, you're like, all right, I hope this goes in, right? Unless you've got Justin Tucker, you're hoping.
Yeah, you're hoping, yeah. Especially if it's like a pivotal moment.
Because Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker of all time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What?
Greatest kicker, and there's the most clutch kickers, obviously, Vin and Vinatieri.
Yeah, but Vin did in the postseason, though. That's the thing. He's got more.
That's what I said. He's in terms of biggest leg, most percentage of long kicks. Yeah, percentage of long kicks, percentage of kicks. He is the best, and for the number of years that he's done it.
Does he have the record for long kicks? My prayer is
no.
I'm
a percentage of long kicks, not the longest kick. He's had a lot of big kicks, which were important.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. It's funny how we're talking about kickers here, because, like, my Cardinals kicker, right? If the kick is less than 55, I get nervous that he's gonna miss. If it's if it's 50 and above, he's nailing it. I'm like, how you he makes 50 yarders look easy, but when it comes to 30, 40 yards, he's missing. I'm like, how? But some kickers, that's how it goes for them, that they miss the shorter ones.
I'm going to use a terrible analogy, right? You know when you have a golf swing, and when you're trying to hit a golf ball and you're hitting it at normal full length, for that club, right? Full length for that club, perfectly. You try and take something off of it, when you're kind of in between club lengths, that's when your problems start occurring and it starts to go left and right because you're not concentrating. You're just not in the, the standard flow of kicking the ball. Him kicking the ball 50-something yards, that's his normal MO, right? The welly it. Now, even if it's a short kick, you should just be welling it irrespective. If you go into the mentality that you have to take something off of it, then that may be that could lead to why his kick percentage isn't as good in the lower distances. But we're getting beyond the point. The big difference in this game, as you said, CMC, George Kittle. That was the difference. They clutched their game. They closed it out. They said, "No, we are winning this game." Because Kittle was, even they only had 4 receptions.
Yeah, if Jordan Love doesn't throw even his second INT, this game I feel as though could have been different. I mean, you never truly know. But ultimately, the 49ers, if they are down, it is harder for them to, because of the style of offense that they play, it's harder for them to work back. So I kind of feel as though Jordan Love is going to take this loss on himself because they were right there. And it would have been a crazy upset and would have, it would have changed the landscape of these playoffs 100%.
Can you imagine if it was a Packers-Lions NFC Championship game in Ford Field?
Oh,
it's not something you see every day. That's definitely not something you see every day.
That would have
been like an all-timer.
That would have been an all-timer because that could have been a great, in terms of grudge match. But Packers and 49ers. It was a good game because it was close. The weather wasn't so great. Hopefully the weather's a little bit better for this week because we want to see the 49ers and the Lions really go hammer and tongue at each other. But now moving on to Bucks and Lions. Now, I think for me, this, people were wondering whether Baker was a franchise quarterback or not. Before this season, because obviously the failures that he's had, particularly with the Panthers treating him abysmally. I think this cements that Baker shows he is a very capable quarterback. He never gives up, and he has a place within this league to be. Obviously you expect him to continue with the Bucks, but he cemented himself for me. He is an above average quarterback in this league. It's whether they can assemble the team around him to be able to progress. But the thing is, above average doesn't tend to win you championships. You need to be just a little bit above that.
Yep, just a little bit above that, or making the right plays at the right time.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think Baker proved a lot of that is wrong, and he really fought back this year, and he's finally found the franchise for him. So I expect Baker to have sort of like a Kirk Cousins type
resurgence kind of thing.
With the Buccaneers, like Kirk Cousins have been able to have like a good 4 or 5 years with the Vikings now and being like their guy for the next 5 years or so, and I think Baker can do the same with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think a very big, and he just lost his OC, so now we'll see what the new OC would do for him. But I think I think a big part of solidifying that is can we see a repeat of that next season? Because I think the Bucks are gonna extend him. I have a feeling that they will give him a good deal. He probably won't get top money.
I don't think he should get. He doesn't need to get top money. I think he just needs.
He'll get top 10 money, but when I say top 10, maybe top 6 money. I don't think he's getting top 5 or any of the top 5 earners. But he could easily make 40 mil a year based on the play, and if he has a very good agent, they could easily get 40. Trust me, the money keeps going up. I mean, there's talks of Dak Prescott, his next deal with the Cowboys, to be around 60 with the whole leverage thing. And they'll pay it. So all I'm saying is that if the top range, let's say the top range here is now around 60 to 50, then the next year after that you're looking around 40, 45.
If you look, it's the first season in his career where he's gone past 4,000 yards, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most that he had thrown in his career as well. So there's that. But he had his highest completion percentage. He went 28-10 on the season. So looked after the ball in general. It's just... It's like... The thing is, he's in a division where the teams generally are weaker. So he has the opportunity to continue to grow with that team as well, further. It just wasn't enough in this game because the Lions are just too well-rounded as a team. You look at how Jahmyr Gibbs had good day on the ground, only 9 carries, but 74 yards, and he scored a touchdown. Then you had Amon-Ra again, 8 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporte added himself a big game, 9 receptions, 65 yards. And you look at Jared Goff, looked after the ball, 2 touchdowns, 287 yards, 103.5 for rating. Jared Goff is the kind of player that has really, I won't say is reinvigorated in his entire career, and he's found the perfect match for this team. And the defensive side of the ball is helping him as well. They're playing for him. And you look at that final interception, the way the game ended. That was a hell of a play. That interception to intercept Baker when Baker was trying to march down the field, because they still had the opportunity to bring it back because they were only 8 points down. Thoughts on the Lions, because I think we expected them to win. I think all of us did. Did anybody pick? Oh, Peter picked the Bucks, didn't he, to win this game?
Yeah, but that was based off Todd Bowles.
I mean, I thought Todd Bowles, the defense was going to perform better, but I think they came against a Lions team that the Lions O-line was better than the Bucks defense. I think the Lions O-line really paved holes, big, gigantic holes in the running game, and Jahmyr Gibbs took advantage of that and was sensational in the game. Like I said, he's shaping up to be the Alvin Kamara, like do it on the ground, do it in the air. And I think he juked one of the safeties, and it was bad. I think that was it was like the second touchdown that he had, to sort of like steal the game. And he's a big asset for them to watch out for. So well deserved for the Lions. Dan Campbell, we're still buying the kneecaps. San Francisco, get ready. We're about to buy your kneecap too.
San Francisco,
we're going to buy kneecaps all the way to the bowl.
We'll go on to that afterwards. Just last thing on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evans had himself a game. It's 147 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he dropped some as well.
And he dropped some balls as well.
He dropped some as well. Yeah. Mike Evans continues to be underappreciated in this league, only because he's with a team that has had its moments, with Tom Brady. I think this era of football, he's definitely, I think, in that top 5 rotation in terms of receiver. And he's the type of guy that I can see retiring a buck. I think they're going to make sure that he stays with that team until the very end of his career. Even though he's getting older, he's still producing. So it's testimony to him as a player.
Can you believe this, right? He has 10 consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards receiving, and he's been All-Pro. First team All-Pro 0 times, second team All-Pro twice.
But that's the thing, though. He's been consistent, but has he? How do you call it? Here's the thing, though.
And he has and he has 5 seasons of 12 or more touchdowns.
Okay. I get the 12 or more touchdowns, but if you have 12 touchdowns and 2 receivers as 15 apiece, they get a first team.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. But I'm just saying about he has incredible numbers in terms of like 10 seasons. Yeah. He has incredible numbers. Now
he's been Mr. Consistency.
Now I want to talk about Cade Otton as well, because Cade Otton seems to have made that step up in terms of tight end position, because previously you looked at the Tampa Bay Bucks, especially with Gronk disappearing after Brady left, you thought, all right, it's Evans and Godwin. If you stop those, then you've stopped the entire offense. It's not the case anymore. You've got Otton, and then you've got a potential dangerous threat in Trey Palmer coming through as well. So I think they're probably going to be the team to beat in the NFC South next season. But we'll talk about them more again in the off season itself. All right, moving on to Lamar. Lamar just tore the Texans apart, and not just Lamar. That rushing offense was disgusting.
I'm telling
utterly
you, man,
disgusting.
Like, the Ravens right now are just the team of destiny. They are built for like a deep run. And the thing is, I remember watching this game, and off the bat they were kind of close, and then the team with like the experience slowly started to pull away, and then that
First
slowly
half,
pull away.
Halftime it was what, 10-10, and then
and everyone was like, "Wow!"
And they came
It's
out.
Close.
Ravens scored a touchdown.
Yep.
And then in the fourth quarter, they just went bye-bye.
And that's the difference. Like Lamar Jackson, 100 yards rushing. He kept himself upright.
66 yards. Gus,
it's so
40
hard
yards.
to defend.
Dalvin Cook himself got 23 yards.
23 yards. Like, they are so balanced between the two. Like, they can run it and pass it. They force you to defend the entire field. They've got playmakers every side of the ball, and their defense as well with Raekwon Smith, Patrick McQueen, like Ronald Darby. It's a scrappy defense, and they can just like I said, Carl Van Noy. These guys are built for the wrong haul. Marcus Williams,
and then
they're ready for anything.
And then you have Madubuike getting one of the tackles for losses in the game. Raekwon Smith getting 2 of them. So they had 3 tackles. When you put a team behind the chains, then you let the other guys eat and try and get sacks. Even though in this game they didn't register a sack. So props to the Houston Texans in that department, but the rest of that team is just so mean. And they put so much pressure in different ways that you might not be getting a sack, but they're gonna hurry you up as well. I think this was kind of a natural ending for the Houston Texans season.
Yep.
Because we had a feeling that they would get turned over a little bit by the Ravens. The Ravens are just that strong. And,
no, absolutely. I think it's a fairy tale ending. I mean, they weren't truly ever meant to be here, but they surprised everyone and they earned their spot. And I think people knew that. They put up a good fight. CJ Stroud, despite the loss and lack of points, was still slinging late in the game, trying to work through. But that's the difference. I think the experience that they've gained this season is invaluable, because now they've been to the playoffs in your rookie season. You've already got that bear off your back. You've already shown everyone the expectations now for Houston. Really, they've gone from just trying to win 5 games to I expect you to win 2 games next year. In the playoffs. That's the expectations going forward because they know they can do that. But yeah, no, the Ravens are the team of destiny. They're my pick to win it all, actually, and I want Lamar to win it all because I want him to finally get like his 360 moment where when he got drafted, he told people to the camera, he said, "You're going to get a Super Bowl out of me," and it's come round full circle. So I actually want him to win.
It's going to be
win it all.
An interesting one.
Yep.
All right. We're going to move on because naturally we're going to talk about the championship games now.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about AFC Championship first. Who would you think? So, say for example, in a hypothetical scenario, Ravens won this game. Who would they rather face? Do you think?
Peter. The Ravens or the Chiefs?
Who would the Ravens rather face in the big show if they won this weekend? Who do you think they would rather face?
I want to say
it don't matter because they're gonna whoop each other's ass. They're gonna beat them.
I'm talking from a matchup perspective. I'm not talking about from a motivation. 49ers. I'm talking about a matchup. I think it's the 49ers.
I think it's the 49ers because
why do you say that?
In terms of how they play the game, they work better like with a lead. They're going to run the ball. They make the passes when they need to. But the Lions can be very explosive. And I think explosive teams, like all it takes is maybe 2 big plays to put them right back in. I think
it's because the Lions have more. The Lions have more pieces on offense than the Niners do. The Niners have 3 pieces.
Yep.
One had been getting injuries this season, right?
Yep.
Debo. Debo's been getting injured this season.
Yep.
CMC is CMC. And Kittle is Kittle. But Ayuk, for some reason, has come off the boil completely in the postseason.
No, he hasn't come off the ball. It's just a Brock Purdy getting him the ball.
Yeah. Well, also, he didn't really have a working ball.
Think
did you see him? Did you see him in? Did you see the thing in the divisional round? Mid play, he's like drying his hand.
Exactly, because the weather conditions was bad. Because the thing is,
Brock's not going to throw him the ball that deep.
The weather is bad, and Brock can't get the ball to him if bad weather. He has to make good decisions with the ball and stuff like that. See, here's the thing. The reason why I think the Ravens would rather face the Lions, even though the Lions will bite their kneecap sometimes, is because the Ravens have a good defense. Like when they went into halftime, at halftime, when I was watching the Ravens Texans, I said it's over for the Texans. Because I knew when the Ravens come back out at halftime, they're gonna close shop and they're gonna take this thing home. And Lamar said when they went in halftime, they were like, "What are we doing? Let's just finish this." And they came back out and finished it. Like
again, now
the Ravens defense is a big factor as to why I feel like it defensively doesn't matter. But if we're talking about matchups, I say they'd rather face the 49ers because they have more answers for them, like you guys are saying. But regardless,
and they've already whooped them this season.
Exactly, so they know how to beat them.
All right. But now moving to this game, Ravens against the Chiefs. This much vaunted defense of the Ravens against Mahomes, and Mahomes technically is a 3.5 point underdog in this game. But if there's one man you can't count out, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Now, what do you? I think the big key in this game is they slow Pacheco down,
which they can
do. Which they're capable of doing. Because you look at the man, but the Ravens are better against the pass than they are against the rush. Right?
No.
No, in terms of rushing yards per game, Baltimore are 14th in the league, and they're 6th in the league against the pass. So, from a statistical point of view, they are better.
Are these regular season stats?
If you take
but we're talking about regular. Yeah, obviously.
If you tell Raekwon Smith,
but Peter, can I? You said these regular. They've had one game. You can't look at it from a sample size.
I think if you tell Raekwon Smith,
but in the playoffs, right? You told me like when your Colts in 2006 going to the playoffs. What happened? Your defense, exactly. So it's the same thing. I think the
the way I'm talking about that was a bottom third defense, right? The Colts team. Yeah. This is not a bottom. This is a top 3 defense in the league.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Generally, overall,
I know. Yeah, but I feel the Ravens' defense are gonna feel very confident with what they were able to do with the Texans last week in shutting down the run game. And if they won this game, if they want to win this game, they got to shut down Pacheco. I don't even think Mahomes is the key here. The key here is to shut down.
No. Mahomes Pacheco is always the key when you play the Chiefs. I'm not stating that.
But I'm talking about the matchup in terms of like the reason why if you don't shut down Pacheco,
perspective, yeah.
Exactly. Mahomes can then now start doing play action passes and playing conservative because right now Mahomes now has matured to a point where he can win the game without putting up golden numbers, which is what he understands that he can do. All it takes is like when he played the Bills, he didn't put up golden numbers, but they still won because he made smart decisions with the football, with the passing game. And because the run game was working, the middle of the field tends to get open because linebackers are creeping up trying to stop the run. Now, if the Ravens defensive coordinator, who's one of the best this year, I think it's Mike Macdonald, is early on, let's shut down the run game. Force them to go more pass heavy, which plays into the defense that you just talked about's hands. Because against the Texans, I was disappointed in the Ravens, but they could have had like 2 interceptions or so. They dropped a couple of INTs.
The only same thing I'll say, they dropped some INTs, yes.
Like Hamilton had one, and then he dropped it.
Oh, the Hamilton one was particularly poor because he treated it like a hot potato. But I think I always back Mahomes now. I didn't back him, was it last season when I said, oh, Chargers are going to do something. They're going to break the curse of themselves and they're going to win they're going to... No. Mahomes is going to rule that division for the entirety of his career, in my opinion. The only thing that can potentially stop that is Jim. And...
Also, I've heard reports of Andy Reid retiring. That could also change things.
Yeah, if Andy Reid retires, then that will obviously have a massive impact. But in terms of Mahomes' gameplay, Mahomes knows that he doesn't need to play amazingly well because defensively, that Chiefs defense is really mean. We've seen
they're really good.
They are really good, but how do you think they are against a Baltimore team that can move the ball differently?
And also, I think...
how do you think... No, that's a question I'm asking you guys. How do you think they'll fare against this Ravens offense, which is more run-heavy? And the Chiefs are, much better against the pass than they are against the run, even though they're not bad against the run.
I think what the Chiefs might employ in this game is maybe try to have a spy on Lamar. That could be one of the things that Sparks might employ. Have the Chiefs have a couple of linebackers.
Willie Gay got injured in the last game. He was the spy for Allen, and he went out. And I don't know in terms of injuries where he is, but he's currently limited, so I assume he'll play.
So if he plays and he's able to have a bit of an effect, because he's faster than AJ Klein, the Chiefs faster than AJ Klein in the last game, because AJ Klein was losing a lot of their middle of the field matchups, so the Chiefs feasted on him. But Willie Gay is ultimately better than what you call it, AJ Klein in terms of athleticism and speed and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the Chiefs might employ a spy, and it might not be enough because that's the only way they can control. Because Lamar, like I said last week, I tweeted out that Lamar is now in a phase in the postseason whereby he's playing as I don't think I've ever seen someone play, especially in the postseason, elite balanced quarterbacking. So Lamar will pass the ball if it's there and he can pass it. Mm-hmm. And then what makes Lamar so good right now is that he's playing the sense of when he takes off that he's going to run, he does it as if he's going to throw the ball. So it kind of frees linebackers up a bit. And because he's so explosive and so quick, before you know it, he has 20 yards. So, and when he's running, he's so fluid, so you can't get a clean shot on him because he's going to juke very quickly. He's going to move left outside very quickly. So that's what's making his game now so dangerous because he's playing the game. You know, he's now in his bag whereby he's so comfortable within the offense to pass. It's almost like he can pass and run in the same play if the options are there. Before, he'll either run or he'll pass. Now, he can do both within that same play, and that's making him very, very dangerous.
People need to understand.
Just one thing. Yep. Weather report, there is possible rain in the forecast for this one.
Even
that's
better.
All right, Lamar will run it.
Even better. Like, Lamar's trying to win a chip here. Like, literally, he's not messing around. He's literally, you don't rush for 100 yards at quarterback because I'm going to try it. No. He was intentionally saying, look, I'm making sure we're winning this game. I'm going to get these downs if we can't. They put a spy on him and it wasn't enough because Lamar's speed's different. I don't think people understand.
The Texans ain't got so in the first half, I know who you're talking about. They put Chris Harris on him to spy him, right?
Yeah.
But after the break, Lamar was like, "You ain't touching me," because he figured it out.
Yeah, and you have to understand, like, this isn't the first team to put a spy on him. And he beats them every time. If he beats that linebacker to the corner, he jukes him out. Like, he is very hard to defend. And when you have a spy, you're dedicating a player to Lamar. Like, he's not covering a receiver. He's not looking at the running backs. He's looking at Lamar the whole play, regardless of what happens on the field. And Lamar's still getting yards. So you have to understand it's not going to be enough. I think this is like for the Chiefs to win this game, like, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to play like an all-time great. Like, and we know he can, but he's going to have to play mistake-free, and he's going to have to put up like crazy numbers, or big plays have to happen. And with this receiving core, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. And I can guarantee Raekwon Smith and those guys are going to say, we're just going to remove the run completely. And they will do that.
What Kansas will have. So, again, I saw on New Heights, Travis Kelce's, one of his touchdowns against Bills was on this kind of like bubble screeny type play, with two tight ends already out there as well blocking for him. And he said that the last time that they run that, not the last, but one of them, I think the last time that they run that play was in London in 2015.
Wow.
And they scored a touchdown on it, right? It's
crazy.
They're going to have to bring out some things from, the Andy Reid book of tricks, because I think you look at the weather forecast, there's a 94% chance of rain, which is expected to last the entirety of the game, and 10 to 15 mile per hour winds during the game. So, could be a wet ball. Now,
fumbles could play a key factor in this game.
That's what I was going to say. With Lamar running the ball, Lamar has had a bar of soap problem at times, but normally he picks it up and still manages to run for like 10 yards, but that could be a factor. Fumbles could be a factor. Because the running backs have also had a fumbling issue as well, although that's mainly Melvin Gordon at times. All right, I want you guys to predict this one. Are you both saying the Ravens? Are we going full sweep on the Ravens?
Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going Ravens. I think it's time. It's time for Lamar to do it. He seems very focused on winning a chip. And also, the reason why I said the Ravens, because Ravens got the better defense. And the run game worked because the Chiefs was able to run the ball last week the Bills were able to run the ball last week on the Chiefs. They just decided not to and allow Allen to pass instead.
All right. Yeah, Ravens for me, because I think that they've just got a little bit too much for the Chiefs. And it's not for Mahomes. I think that their offense has just got too much for the Chiefs' defense in terms of just, especially with the but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be wet ballitis, and it's going to be very close, though. And a very nerve-wracking watch for my brother, because he is not going to enjoy it at all, and neither is my friend over on the other side of the pond as well. All right, NFC Championship. Can the Detroit Lions overcome the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco? So, what do you think the key to this? 49ers are 7-point favourites in this one.
That's disrespectful, man.
That's
very disrespectful.
7-point favourites.
I think people are still doubting the Lions, despite how far they've come. Last time I checked, they have the better QB. And if they get up to a lead with that explosive team, like I said, the 49ers, when trailing, it's a hard game because now Brock's got to push the ball down the field. What's the weather looking like? Where are they playing?
Again, it's in San Francisco. Let's have a look.
Yep. So they've got to push that ball down the field, and Brock has to make multiple big plays, not just one or two. He showed that game-winning drive at the end of the last game.
It looks like it's going to be clearer. Than last week.
So he showed that moxie at the end of last week's game. He showed that he can do it, but the question is, he may have to do that multiple times. The Lions are going to key in on that. So this is going to be an interesting game. I'm not going to lie. I want the Lions to win. But I just can't doubt the 49ers as a unit, as an overall unit, built for like slugfests. But I don't think the Lions are going to play into that.
I think the biggest key for the 49ers is keeping those three pieces healthy. Well, three pieces plus Ayuk, particularly Debo. You saw how the effect, like, more than one of those gets knocked out of the game, or for a significant period of the game, then that can have a massive effect. And especially, as we've been saying, Lions are biting kneecaps, and your head says the 49ers should win this game, right?
Yeah.
Your heart says the Lions.
Detroit,
yeah.
Which one of those are you going to believe? Peter, because Peter, you are normally the more conservative when it comes to takes, generally. So I want your thoughts on this one, because are you backing the best defense, or are you backing the fairy tale story?
You know what? I'm gonna go with the fairy tale. I'm just gonna go with my man Dan Campbell, and we're gonna be buying our kneecaps and see what we can get in this game. If we can take a leg, we can take an arm with us. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think if the 49ers win, they're gonna be very, very, very sore for the next 3 days, because the Lions are coming. They're gonna make a very, very physical game. And I'm gonna go with the Lions to cause an upset here. Normally, championship games don't give us a lot of upsets for teams to go to the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna roll my man Dan Campbell here. Aiden Hutchinson, I need a big game from you, big dog. I need you to go hunting for me in this game. Because in the playoffs he's been very good in the playoffs, but the Lions are applying the pressure because it's relentless. I need Jamel Gibbs to show up. I need Amon-Ra St. Brown to show up. I need other guys to show up. Conventional wisdom says the 49ers have a much better roster, and I agree. They have a better defense. They have better pieces, better skilled pieces on offense. But I think I like the Lions' collective approach because what I see with the Lions is that they have players that are on the cusp of absolute superstar, apart from Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's an all-pro. They have players that are on the cusp of elite superstardom from probably next year going, but they feel like every win is a team win. There's not really like one standout, if that makes sense, when it comes to the Lions throughout the playoffs. Most of their wins have been, you know, like the team has been really good playing complementary football across all three phases. And I feel like if they continue to do that, they might do it. A key injury to one of the big 49ers pieces might do it. So 49ers heavily favored, I get it, but I'm gonna roll with the Lions because I feel like their team could pull this upset off because there's not that one standout player apart from Amon-Ra St. Brown. As in, like, if Amon-Ra was to go down, they have other pieces that could potentially step up, like Jameson Williams, like Josh Reynolds. Like, these players make plays, and then you're like, oh, Josh Reynolds had 8 yards in this game. I wasn't expecting him to have 8 yards. That kind of thing.
They know how to have that next man up mentality.
Yep.
I'm going to pick the 49ers in this game, and that's me being conservative, but I think that's due to two players. CMC and Kittle. Last week, they willed their team to a win. The ball is going to be a little bit drier this week. It's going to be a little bit easier for CMC to wreak some havoc. And even though the Lions are statistically good against the run, I think they're just going to have enough for them. But
fair enough.
That is my head ruling over my heart.
Yep. Sometimes you got to go with the head. Yeah, because the head's always the realist, right? It's always the ground pick. But deep down inside, Dilly, you know.
And we have been asking, like Finn, obviously, friend of the pod, big Lions fan, and he's comfortable with how things have gone, in the sense of if it ends here, it ends here. They're not like they're still next to like. It's not like this team is, they're going to get here and then that's it. All right, they're not getting back. No, this team is geared up.
I think already they've kind of surpassed the expectations. I think this season the expectation was win the division, make the playoffs, and win a playoff game. But I think they've won 2 playoffs games now, and I think that they've exceeded the target they set themselves this season. And making it to the Super Bowl is absolutely amazing for it because no one picked the Lions to make it to the Super Bowl, make it to the NFC Championship game at the beginning of the season. Some people expect them to win the division, but not to make it as far as they've made it. And that's a huge credit to the organization and the amazing work that they've done. And I'm just so happy that after so many years, they've brought
some joy to that city as well.
So joy to that city, blue collar city, and I'm so happy for fans of Detroit. And yes, well, if they make it to the Barry Sanders is getting signed so that he can play one snap because he deserves his ring for what he gave that franchise. They were never going to make the playoffs without Barry Sanders, and he gave them a couple of playoff appearances on his own. He put that team on his back multiple times.
Literally. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that.
That we know it's not happening, but it's a nice.
At least give him a complimentary
nice
Super Bowl
sentiment,
ring if they were able to win it.
Now, if we look there are 4 teams to have never have got to a Super Bowl. Right? 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And only 2 of those 4 teams are newer franchises in the Texans and the Jags, right? The other 2 are the Browns and the Lions.
Oh.
And did you hear about this? I put this beautiful stat. The last time the Lions won a playoff game away from home was 1957.
Against the 49ers.
Against the 49ers.
Hey, it's destiny. It's destiny.
And I'm ruling, like I said, I'm ruling with my head rather than my heart. But hey, there we have it. We have managed to wrap it all up, and it's going to be some great games this weekend. And we will catch everybody on the other side. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye from Peter, and from Will, and we will catch everyone on the flip side.